you always try to be like unique. We're not the first company in the sales space, but it's the first one that's going to create like a cult following, almost like Apple, right? Our net promoter score is actually higher than the iPhone in 2008. It's 68, yeah, which is doesn't make sense for an enterprise software company. We shouldn't be all that exciting, right? But you create the combination of the product and the brand on a human level, right? That creates a cult following, and people call Gong kind of the Apple of sales. But it started with willing and more than willing, kind of the determination to be different and to stand out and to create something that connects on a human level that is not everybody loves. So if you look at Gong's brand, it's kind of quirky. It's getting a little more mature right now as we sell to enterprise customers, but it started like really quirky. Most people overestimate the attractiveness of their solution. Obviously, everything they think that their baby is amazing. The problem, there are a lot of other babies. Everybody's beautiful. The noise level is like insane. And to penetrate through that, you need to imagine kind of the most difficult scenario out there. It means a person that doesn't really care, they're busy, like, and that is like the reality. And if you think about that, you will probably amplify your message and your story in a way that actually resonates with the busiest, couldn't care less buyer.
Amit, welcome to Nobody Cares is a driving motto for you since way back in the SciSense days when we first met. What does it mean? What's the philosophy behind it? And how do you think CEOs, founders, and CMOs should apply it?
Everybody think that once people hear about the solution, they're gonna it's gonna blow their mind and they're gonna buy. That's not the situation. So as a result, what you see a lot of like first ideas that the world doesn't really need, and again, it doesn't mean that the world doesn't need, but maybe there's, you know, there is 100 people that need, but there are no like 10,000, right? Or sometimes it's something that the world needs, but the language is idiosyncratic. It's something that you understand, but the world doesn't understand in a way that is meaningful to them and resonates. Since you and I worked at SciSense together, that kind of reminds me. I don't know if you remember, we went to the first, what is it called? This is like conference of O'Reilly Media.
Yeah, Strata.
Strata, yeah. You see, I'm forgetting. And everybody is like big data was kind of the little things, right? And people said, you know, how many megabytes you could process, and there are a lot of like big system, you know, and everybody's like bigger. And when we thought about what would how do we cut through the noise, right? And the message was the world's smallest big data solution, right? Everybody says that they're the biggest, like ours is smaller. That was our advantage. That got Wall Street Journal, press, everybody said, oh, really, that's different. When people see something different, they talk, because we said, okay, you can run a solution on a laptop, right? That was like the and if we said the same thing, oh, ours is scalable infrastructure that can support large enterprise, there are 100 others. You have to find your angle, and then you have to amplify it. It was like interesting and unique.
That's one of the things that I actually really loved when we worked together is, from a PR perspective, you're really creative. And so just being able to work on these campaigns and go at things with like a different angle than everybody else was really great. So let me ask you, just changing the topic here, what do you think that CEOs have to keep in mind when hiring a CMO? It's known that CMOs have the shortest tenures on average in the entire C-suite. So I'm wondering, from a CEO perspective, since you've actually had long relationships with CMOs.
First, it's probably the toughest hire. from all, I mean, you can find every hire is hard, and it's hard to find like a VP of engineering, a VP of sales. CMOs is the hardest because you need a combination of both like strategic abilities to understand kind of the market, messaging, but also operational stuff like demand generation, integration with sales. It's a big operation with a lot of moving parts. I like when someone worked in like multiple industries, that they're not, let's say, in just one. It means that their experience looks at what's different between the companies, because every company is unique. The same marketing method that worked for Panaya would not work for Sisense and would not work for Gong, right? So it's the ability to understand what is the market, what does the company do, who is the audience, and which techniques would work best. So I like people with a diverse background that combine both the strategic thinking and they have the operational rigor.
You're great at taking potentially dry technology stories and using creativity to find a news hook. Do you think you can share some of the creative campaigns from Sisense and Gong?
Sure. So first, it goes back to like, welcome to Nobody Cares, population 8 billion, right? Nobody cares about your stuff. And the things that people usually care about to get the attention are on a human level, right? They're not technology. They're about like people. It's about food, music, arts, right? That's like that's what gets people's attention, and they notice something when it's like very different. You want something people talk about, right? Whether they love it or hate it, like, and something is like polarizing. It's actually like very good.
What role do you see PR playing for different stages? Whether you're like seed stage, Series A, when you're starting to sell to the enterprise, when you're becoming a more mature company.
The media is so complex that it's not, if you get like an article in the Wall Street Journal that you've made it. Like it used to be, like when I started my career, you were in the front page of, you were in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, you'd call your mom, right? I made it, right? It's not. This is like at best, it's a spike. There's so much media, but if you have like a consistent program and successes, they add up to traffic and credibility and growth. And obviously, if you made it like beyond that, when you're a public company, it has like a huge impact. Right now, it's like a different ballgame. You kind of need to be there to inform shareholders and potential investors about the company and create the confidence in your stock. But the same principle of creating kind of bold, audacious messages and telling stories, celebrating success. Obviously, you have to build like a real product that people get excited, using voice of customers, because again, it's not, I could say a product is amazing, people don't listen to me. I mean, they listen, but they discount 90%. When customers rave about it, it's a totally different effect.
What would you say is the most valued piece of advice that you would give someone who's taking media interviews?
The one thing that you need to understand, that there's a gap between what you say, what they understand, and what they write. So it's almost like two levels of indirection and ultimately what the readers read. So it's almost like a 3, right? I have to think, right, what I say or not say, so that they try to think what they will write. Sometimes I create like the sound bites or the headline for them, where I try not to say something that I do not want to be the headline. And I need to explain the message in a way that is like so easy that they can't screw it up and the readers understand, right? So that's a skill that evolves over time.
What should you be thinking about when you talk to a reporter who maybe doesn't understand technology, and their audience probably doesn't?
Explain it to an 8th grader, explain it to your mom, explain it to people outside, right? You could actually, there's actually ChatGPT right now. You say, explain, here's my company, explain it to an 8-year-old. that's always a good exercise that is creates understanding at a more human level, right? Than hypervisors and super tensors and whatever it is like in chip, right?
Was there anything that when earlier in your career that you did not understand at all about PR that you think maybe other CEOs maybe don't really understand that was eye-opening to you?
I think right now it's that this is kind of like you need a consistent program. Like I thought that, oh, you made it to the press, and it used to be more like that, right? But even like back in the days, it wasn't. You need like one story, like isn't enough. So you need to build a relationship, have a consistent story. People remember when you spoke with them last year, they'll remember, oh, you said that you're going to grow X. So build that trust and relationship over time. There's no overnight success, and just be consistent, build a relationship, build a trust with the media, right? And over time, it'll have an impact.
Of course, right now, the economy is not so great in the tech world, possibly across the world in general.
Yes.
But definitely the tech industry right now is having a really hard time. And I just wonder, as somebody who does have the breadth of experience that you have, you've been through other downturns, et cetera, are there any key tips that you think, whether it's CEOs specifically or founders, CEOs, CMOs even, should be thinking about in order to get through this difficult time?
Yes, it'll be okay. These are cycles, they're natural, they're kind of like wildfires, they devour things that aren't like robust. If you have like a real company, and if you're good, you have a real product and a good team, you'll struggle, but you'll come out it like a stronger and better. If you didn't have a good company, which I hope that's not the case, then those companies might not make it. But everybody else, yeah, I mean, like great companies came out like 2008 and 2000 and 2020. You'll be fine.
Thanks so much, Amit. Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure, Laurent.